All right, welcome back, everyone. We have two very bloody and violent chapters to discuss today.
Yeah.
As we discussed at the end of last time, we are zooming ahead a little bit in the story, just to just to touch on kind of what we skipped. A lot of what we skipped is Elisha's just workings in and among Israel. It doesn't move the story of this nation of Israel along all too much, but you just hear about more of what the prophet's been doing. For today, we are beginning in chapter 9. I want to read you a little bit of the end of chapter 8 to give us a little bit of context. But this is completing the arc of the Ahab story, which started a while ago with Elisha challenging the king and queen of Israel, King Ahab and Queen Jezebel. King Ahab is already dead. He died a while ago. His sons have been on the throne, and we've been cycling through a few of them.
But
The queen mother is still around.
okay.
And so the last piece of context before we jump into our story today comes from chapter 8. Uh, if you look at chapter 8, verse 16, you will see a king of Judah be anointed. And I think this is one of them that gave us a little bit of confusion because it is a repeat name. Um, Joram, son of Ahab of Israel. Oh, during the 5th year of Joram, son of Ahab in Israel, Jehoram, son of Jehoshaphat, began to reign in Judah. That is our typical formula. What becomes important is in verse 18. He walked in the ways of the kings of Israel. As a king of Judah, he's walking in the ways of the kings of Israel, as the house of Ahab had done, for the daughter of Ahab was his wife.
Hmm.
So in the past, we've discussed how Judah is kind of a vassal kingdom of Israel. Israel became more powerful, more economically dominant, and Israel has been called to go to war on behalf of it, or Judah's been called to go to war on behalf of Israel. But now we see they're also making political relationships where the daughter of Ahab, princess of Israel, is now making a political marriage with Judah. But that also means that the contamination of the religion of Israel is now bleeding into Judah, the one that's considered to be the good kingdom. Granted, this king reigns for 8 years, then he dies, and in the 12th year of Joram, Ahaziah, king of son of the king of Joram in Judah, began to reign. So the king that's of Judah in today's story is a great grandson of Jezebel, and that's important to know. That we have the daughter of Jezebel is now queen mother of Judah. And then the grandson, oh, it would just be the grandson of Queen Jezebel is the king of Judah. So now Jezebel's influence is now spanning two nations.
Oh.
So that's the one piece of context that I think is very helpful to know. So as we approach the story today, what there's a certain point of why now? Like Queen Jezebel's been kicking around for a while. Why do something about her presence now? So, so hopefully that gives a little bit more context where her influence is now spreading and she's seen as a corrupting force. But that brings us to chapter 9. The prophet Elijah talks to his band of prophets because he has his own little fan club that's been living with him. And he tells them, gird up your loins, we need to anoint a new king. And one of the companions is chosen to go to Israel to find the commander and anoint Jehu king over Israel. So what do you make of this act, which is treasonous? He is a military general. And just to send a young prophet to like go pour some oil and declare this military general king.
And then run out of the room.
Yeah, and then run. Yeah, don't stick around. Run fast.
Mhm. Hmm. Well, they always have to figure out a way to justify
Hmm.
what happens. It's-
Is this a justified regime change? Is this
I
just
don't really know, but it does seem like
Elisha?
they move around what happens to
Hmm.
fit the story.
Hmm.
Well, if they ask somebody who's a minor prophet to do it, it could be a way of avoiding responsibility for doing it. I don't know. I don't have any idea, actually. I'm just taking a guess.
So you do have you're thinking in a good direction. So this is still under Elisha's authority. Elisha is sending the word to do it. Why is he not doing it himself?
Hmm.
The subtext is Elisha's old, he can't run fast.
I was
Okay.
gonna say that, but I thought certainly that can't
That's
be.
a good reason.
No,
Okay.
he's older in his life, and I don't think he's willing to risk it because he can't run fast. He now has a band of
Okay.
people who do everything for him.
It's a very simple answer then. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't say so.
We've actually, I mean, we skipped what, 4 chapters, and there's a lot where like this group of people built a house for him, like they're doing a lot on his behalf, and we did zoom over some of that, but a significant amount of time has passed, and he's probably not moving well.
Yeah.
And but what it in there is another implication of he's telling him, okay, anoint the king and then run fast. So he seems to acknowledge this is dangerous. What do you all think of that? Of he knows the danger, he knows it's treasonous. Get the young guy that can move quickly. Is this just sometimes what needs to be done, or are we just in it for the good story at this point?
Maybe it's such an important turning point or
Can you talk
such
a little
a
louder, Gretchen?
and such a vital challenge
Mm-hmm.
that I can't afford not to do it is perhaps the implication. By now, and I think Larry had something to say that maybe
Yeah.
Is this
So if we look at starting in verse 6, this is still Elisha commanding the young guy, but we get this prophecy here. This is not identical to the prophecy we have earlier, but this is kind of the explanation of why this is being done. That you shall strike down the house of your master Ahab and I may, uh, and that I may avenge Jezebel, the blood of my servants and prophets, and the blood of all of the servants of the Lord. For the whole house of Ahab shall perish. I will cut them off from Ahab, every male, bond or free in Israel. I will make the house of Ahab like the house of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, and the house of Baasha, son of Ahijah, and the dog shall eat Jezebel in the territory of Jezreel. No one shall bury her. So God is holding a grudge.
Big
Jennifer,
time.
you look like, oh my gosh, that is violent.
Yeah, yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it's been prophesied from before, right? So that it's been a
Mhm.
standing.
Yes, this has been a prophecy that's only been half fulfilled for a while. Like Ahab's dead, but his house is still hanging around, and now the debauchery, the sin of this of Ahab is now infecting theoretically the good kingdom.
Okay.
So that's why it's time to
Mhm.
stop this.
Yes, before it spreads further.
Okay.
So the young man goes, that actually, I take it back. That's from when the young prophet is talking specifically to Jehu. So Jehu is in a meeting with all the military generals, and this crazy young guy comes up and he's like, I need to speak to the top brass here. They're like, okay, Jehu, go talk to this crazy guy. He pours oil on his head, says that whole big thing of like the king's gone, but the queen's gotta go, the whole family's gotta go, and then he runs away like he is told. And then Jehu comes back, and the military generals are like, okay, so what was that about? And he eventually tells them that he was like that crazy young guy just anointed me king over all of Israel, and the military leaders throw their cloaks around, which is a sign of respect, and they fall in line and they pledge what they're doing is pledging their loyalty to Jehu. So what do you think about this? That the military generals, like the moment that their top brass gets told that he's gonna be king, they turn and that they support their top brass. They support their boss.
Well, in the military, you're supposed to, the generals rule.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, it also suggests maybe the generals were pretty much in agreement that something needed to be done about the other kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if they're using a military person, it sounds like they're more assured that if the job will get done,
Mm-hmm. So what would be a modern
he's
term
a
for what's
military person.
happening here?
I don't know.
Coup d'etat.
It's a coup.
Or coup.
Okay, it's a coup. Yeah, it's a revolution. Yeah.
It's a military coup.
Yeah.
And so they must have faith in Jehu that he is a good general because you don't want to be on the bad side of a coup. A coup gone wrong
Yeah.
does not end well.
You end up dead.
Yes. To put it bluntly, you end up dead. And so evidently, once he kind of has permission and the support of his generals, he starts putting a plan into place. So he immediately starts conspiring against Joram. Joram is the current king of Israel. I forget it. I believe he is one of the sons of Ahab um and not a grandson because we already had one son of Ahab die,
Okay.
and then like the second son rose up, and I believe that is where we are. He's been fighting wars off uh the king of Aram. That's the one where they've been going back and forth. They've been on and off at war with Aram. And he got hurt, and so he has come home to Jezreel to get healed. And so Jehu evidently thinks that this is a good time to set off his coup because the king is already wounded.
Yeah.
And so there's this interaction, which is like, once again, we get a lot of detail and it's very cinematic, where the sentinel outside the castle sees Jehu coming, but evidently something feels off about this. Jehu's not supposed to be here. And so the king says, send a horseman out, see if everything's good. And the horseman, not the sentinel's just watching this from the tower, and they see the horseman ride out, and the horseman asks, "Is it peace?" Which is an easy way to say is everything good? Is like are we good? Are you good with us? Is there peace in the land? That's kind of just the signal of like kind of tell me what's going on.
Mhm.
And Jehu's response is, what have you to do with peace? Fall behind me. How do you understand that phrase? What have you to do with peace? And then like, get behind me.
Is get behind me, follow me back to the city?
Yes, it is.
Or is it a negative comment like get behind me?
It's it's probably a multifaceted term. So at one point, and in one regard, it's you're not stopping me. So just like get back, get out of my way. It's a little bit of like get out of my way right now. I'm not telling you my business, get out of the way. It's also kind of a sign of like, if you're in front of me, I will kill you. If you're behind me, you're safe. But it's also a term of like, this is happening, whether you like it or not, you should be on my side. It's kind of like the king is going to fall. You should be on my side, get behind me. Like be part of my crew. So it has that multifaceted sense of like, if you want to be safe, you need to not be in front of me, but it's also an indication of confidence of like you really don't want to be on that side of this conflict. You really don't want to be on that side.
It's sort of a falling.
Is there any appeal to his conscience? Like, in other words, bad things have been going on. You really should know that. And if you want to turn things around, you should follow me. I mean, is there any chance that
Mhm.
just like the generals were already suspicious that things were not good? So is it kind of known that maybe Jezebel is posing a danger through her children and the influence has to be stopped? Is this sort of an appeal like, you know, really what's going on here?
Yes. I think that is very strongly what's going on. Gretchen,
Okay.
what were you gonna say?
Well, I felt like it was a fall in line kind of command or request.
Here,
When he
Gretchen,
says,
I'm sorry. We're having a really hard time hearing
Yeah.
you. Can you make sure?
curious about that. I'll while you go, I will.
Oh, we can hear you fine now when you're that
Yeah.
close.
It's okay. I've got my earbuds, and I'm wondering if I'm having. I will check my audio.
Okay, I'm so
Go
sorry.
ahead. That's okay.
Here, if you stand that close, say what you were gonna say. Oh,
Now you're muted.
Unmute.
there we go.
I felt like what he was saying was fall in line behind me and let's go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is a call to action. So the line, what do you have to do with peace, is an indication that things or things don't have to be at war for things not to be peaceful. There is a peace that is stifling, that's oppressive, a peace that just says, be quiet, stay down. And that's not actually true peace, that's just quiet. And so there's a sense of, yes, like you could like, what do you have to do with peace? Like things are not at peace. Things are tumultuous because of the queen's influence. Things are not peaceful. So like if I came in peace, it would actually be to take out what is causing harm. Yeah, Larry.
I take it more as a retort. You know, the sentinel comes, or the messenger comes out and asks him, you know, are you coming in peace?
Mm-hmm.
And his response is, what do you have to do with peace? And he
Yeah,
doesn't wait for an answer. The messenger coming up never gets to say anything. So to me, it's Jehu telling him, look, we're not on friendly terms. Obviously, I'm not coming in peace.
exactly. So after just 2 rounds of messengers being sent out, and the sentinel at the top of the tower can see he's sending people and they're not coming back, and
But
that's not a good sign. So now the King Ahaziah, remember, grandson of the queen,
Mhm.
he's from Judah, but he's part of the Ahab royal family now, married in. Um uh Joram says, okay, we need to get in our chariots and go out because this doesn't look good. But remember, this king is injured. He is not in a good shape, and still he's like, okay, I guess dress me up. We gotta roll out here. And they roll out and they meet Jehu, and again, they're like, is it peace? Like what's going on? Is it peace? And this is where we get him. uh, what peace can there be so long as many whoredoms and sorceresses of your mother Jezebel continue? So, like, how can there be peace as long as your mother's alive? This is the only time that I think the idea of Jezebel being sexually uh out, what do I want to say? Being like the idea of Jezebel being a whore and like sleeping around. This is the first time this appears. The thing is, the likelihood in it is this term does not deal with who she is having adult relationships with. This deals with um uh her religion infecting the religion of Israel. This is a common metaphor in the Bible, especially if you read Hosea. Hosea is a very interesting book, but it goes with a metaphor of worshiping other gods is like being unfaithful in marriage. So this is not that Jezebel herself is just sleeping around. The whoredom that she is like the whore of Babylon. She is bringing other influences into this area. So I just want to be clear with that because her reputation is the red-haired Jezebel that's sleeping around, and that's just not exactly the connotations that is here. So how can there be peace as long as your mom has a corrupting influence and is bringing other gods into this area? And at that, the two chariots turn around and go the other direction. And we get this really striking image of Jehu draws his bow with all of his strength, shoots Jehu in the back, and it goes straight through him.
And this is a man who's been wounded or is ill or something. And
Yeah.
yeah,
He's already been wounded in battle. But this is the killing blow. And then they met at in the on the property of Naboth, and the Jehu says to throw his body on the property of Naboth. And am curious if you all remember who Naboth is.
I think he's the guy that owned the vineyard.
Yeah.
I knew we should know that, but I couldn't remember. So
Yes, great memory, Larry. If you remember, all of this started because Ahab wanted a vegetable garden where there was a vineyard, and Jezebel had the vineyard owner killed.
yes.
And the prediction, yeah, Gretchen?
Well, I'm going to go to that that whole phrase about Jehu, son of Nimshi, where he drives like a maniac. I've always loved that
Yeah,
picture of
Yes.
they recognize him by the way he's driving.
driving his chariot. Yeah.
That's great.
It kind of implies that this is not the first time. Like, this is your friend that always drives at 90 miles per hour, no matter the speed limit.
Yeah, it's just such a funny modern phrase
Right.
to see in the Bible. I mean, it just who put that in there?
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Yeah, thanks for pulling that out. That's great.
So
Mm-hmm.
when did the idea of having trials for people, that's way, way in the future. I mean, this is all, somebody's bad, kill them. So
So that's
I think,
mhm.
yeah,
There are trials in the Bible. That's the interesting thing. We didn't go into it because
yeah, I
Leviticus
know, but
is
they're not trials now. It's just
so there.
in Leviticus, okay.
When people go to the city gate to discuss something, there is a procedure in Leviticus of like how many people you need, how you make the decision, how you
Okay.
find guilty or innocence. So there
Yeah.
is a way to go through trials for like common people, and it's more like disputes over like, hey,
Right.
your ox killed my dog. It's
Yeah.
more like those kinds of disputes are settled in a court fashion that we would semi-recognize. Um, but they live under monarchy, a system of monarchy. The monarch can do what they want, and
Yeah.
right is right, and there is no way to take kings to courts. And there really isn't until you get the Magna Carta. It literally takes the Magna Carta to prosecute kings and say kings are
Right.
subject to the law.
Okay.
And so the way to depose kings is normally violent.
Kill them.
So, but coming back around, so this is the first of the prophecies we see coming true, is that the blood of Ahab. Ahab's already died. He died elsewhere, but now his son, which is still technically his blood, is being poured out on what used to be the vineyard of Naboth. But this is not enough for Jehu. Jehu then rides after King Ahaziah, who is the grandchild of Queen Jezebel and Ahab. He is shot, but his like company of men are able to take him back to Israel, and he is buried in the like royal grave. His blood is not spilt in the same way, so he actually gets like a dignified death in a way. But then
It's interesting that they take him to Megiddo, which it's when does it become a significant, or is it only in modern times that people talk about Megiddo as Armageddon?
So, how you get from the place name here, Megiddo, to the phrase that we use today is Armageddon, is making a Hebrew phrase first sound Latinate and then sound English. So the term is Har Megiddo with an H, but for some reason the H gets dropped. Har means mountain, the mountain of Megiddo. Megiddo itself, when it doesn't have the har in front of it, is the valley next to the mountain of Megiddo. This was a great place to have a battlefield because there's a big flat area. And so when kings go to war, when the kings of Israel went to war in the north, in like the northern section of Israel, they would go to war on Har Megiddo because it's the open place in a area filled with mountains that's where you can fight. And so when John of Patmos was envisioning the end of the world and the final battle, where would the final battle happen? Happens at the most famous battlefield in Israel, Har Megiddo. It has, like, Armageddon is actually really funny that it now means like the end of the world, because it would be like, an asteroid is coming to Earth. We're going to call it Gettysburg. Like, it's just it's a very famous battlefield. That's it. The end of the world will happen at Gettysburg. Like, that would be the American equivalent. So, but yeah, so when you see Megiddo, it's also Har Megiddo, which does translate to Armageddon, but that's a whole other thing. Anyways, so we are arriving at one of my favorite, or the death of one of my favorite ladies. You all know that I love Jezebel, but I want to give context to explain what she does, because a lot of people find this section really weird, and I love her for this. So let's keep track of who in her family has died. So number one, she is a princess that is outside of her territory. The thing we don't get is some of the people that Israel has gone to battle with are actually her family members. So, like, the nation of Israel has actually kind of killed some of her family that are not in Israel. Her husband's been murdered. Three of her sons at this point have already been murdered. And she is seeing things fall down around her. But she is a princess. She is not just princess. She is now queen regent, which is still, like, she has political influence and roles. And so she, evidently, word has gotten back that her now living son has just been murdered. Her grandson from the other kingdom has also just been murdered. And so Jehu is now coming in her direction. And what does she do? She puts on eyeliner and her royal jewels. Why would the Queen Regent put on eyeliner and jewels when the murderer of her son and grandson is coming to meet her? What do you all think?
I thought she was trying to charm him.
Oh, like do the Queen Cleopatra thing?
Yeah, that's right. That was the only reason I could come up with.
Okay. Other thoughts?
How old is Jezebel by this point? I mean, I'm picturing her as 50, 60.
Seems like it's part of her battle costume.
Right.
Yes. That's my assumption. And B, your age assumption is around, I would guess, is correct. She is not young, but she's also younger than what we would consider old age today, likely. So she's, probably 50 or 60.
Okay.
But yeah, this is her battle armor. She doesn't ride into battle with breastplates. She's like, you're coming to kill me? I'm gonna look fabulous.
I'm gonna look good.
She knows he's coming for her. If she's gonna die, this is my thing. If she's gonna die, she's like, I'm gonna die with dignity. I'm gonna put on my jewels. Screw you. I don't care about you. I'm going to look my part.
Yeah.
Which to me, this is why I love her. The corrupting, treasonous force that
Pretty gruesome.
The dignity of a woman that understands her worth. And people are coming to kill her, and she's like, I don't care. Like I've done my time. I'm going to die on my terms.
My turn.
Yes.
And in some ways, she has one of the more dignified approaches to death, which is why I love this section. So Jehu arrives at her window and she walks up to greet him. No chariots. She has the higher position. Like, she is milking this for all she's worth. So she is like a balcony. He's down below and she's looking down at him with her makeup done, her jewels on, her hair all fluffed out. And she's like, okay, what do you have for me? her actual line is also spot on. Is it peace, Zimri, murderer of your master?
Yeah, yeah.
So she asks the same question, but she also calls him what he is. You murderer. I know,
Yeah.
like she knows why he's here. But he doesn't even address her. He looks at the eunuchs around her. So like her bodyguards, basically her attendants, and the two or three eunuchs look down at him and he gives the command, throw her down. And at this point, the eunuchs probably see the way the world is going, and they would rather a good place in the kingdom than side with the losing side. And so she has a very gruesome death. They do throw her down. And I'm not going to go into detail. The Bible does that for us.
Yeah.
The one dignity that Jehu does attempt to afford is when he gives the command, see to that the cursed woman is buried, for she is a king's daughter. Like, so she is royalty. Okay, let's go collect her. But at this point, not much of her is left.
Right.
But once again, this is to fulfill a prophecy that was not in this many words. This is a longer one, but this did get thrown out there. Is in the territory of Jezreel, the dogs. I believe the original said they shall lick up her blood, but this says the dogs will eat her flesh. And the corpse of Jezebel shall be like the dung on the field of the territory of Jezreel, so that no one can say this is Jezebel. So she is going to be unrecognizable. So that is the death of the Queen Regent, which violent and bloody, but she approached it with dignity. So any other thoughts on Jezebel's death?
It's, I think and this is so, of course, it's part of our culture is that if somebody's really bad, you can really, do anything to them. I mean, it's just, sometimes they aren't really bad and they do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No trial.
No trial at all. She never gets a chance to defend herself. Yeah.
Better point, I guess.
I personally think that it's a little interesting that the eunuchs turn on her so fast. They have been, her companions and taking care of her and everybody else in the palace. And boy, just like that, they're done with it. It's pretty interesting.
I think it's hard to know what a happy eunuch would be like. I would think they might be terribly unhappy.
So
with what was done to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Here is the interesting thing where biblical researchers have tried to put a few things together. While the traditional understanding of a eunuch is, yes, a man who no longer has his manhood, there are phrases that are used that give pause to that understanding, because there's mention, I believe it's actually Jesus at one point, I'll have to look it up. He mentions eunuchs that are eunuchs by birth and
yes,
eunuchs
and
by choice.
Right, that's right.
And there are some scholars that are indicating that some of the eunuchs may still have intact manhoods. They may just be gay men.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That'd be the other.
So it's one of those that we've kind of, there does seem to be a more robust understanding of who could and couldn't qualify to be a eunuch and who actually had to have surgery in order to be one. But a lot of it looks like the textual evidence, that's just one, but there is more that I would have to research. But it does seem to be that eunuchs by choice may be gay men.
Right. And in the New Testament, we don't really hear a distinguish Philip baptizes a eunuch, period. It's not a,
Yeah.
just that's who he is. Whether,
Yeah. Part of this also comes from, not from like the nation of Israel as much as like some Egyptian sources and like looking at the hieroglyphics, because the Egyptians used a lot of eunuchs, and it seems to be like there's something else going on. This is not just
Yeah.
as we understand.
I mean, eunuchs were created because they'd be safe. I mean, the king wouldn't have to worry about his 10 wives and 40 concubines, you know. So I would think a king would be very unlikely to have a gay man amongst the caretakers of his harem. You know, how is he really gay? You know, maybe he's one of these ACDC people. You know, I think if
So
you're the ruler,
So this is the other side of this argument, is that a lot of Western understandings of what eunuchs are
Mhm,
come from Western people writing Orientalist fiction and like the
mhm,
exotification of the harem, in which
mhm,
these white men never were allowed into the harem. So they didn't actually know how it worked. And so
mhm,
a lot of books like Arabian Nights and
mhm.
like that genre of fiction, that is all speculative fiction, and our historical sources show that like that's actually not accurate, and eunuchs had a lot more roles than just taking care of the queen. So it's one of those that I just put it out there of, this is a complex subject that unfortunately fiction written by white men who weren't allowed into women's spaces has continued to color our understanding of, and
Yeah. Okay.
it's not really accurate.
Mhm, mhm,
So, but let's keep carrying on because we have 15 minutes left and another chapter to get through.
okay.
So, I don't feel the need to go as slowly through chapter 10. It is bloody,
Mhm,
it is
Yeah.
violent, it is the destruction of the rest of the house of Ahab. So it's
mhm,
not just that you take out the queen regent and the two kings, but we are the next story is the slaughter of Ahab's 70 sons.
yeah.
Jezebel did not give birth to all 70. I'm going to put that out there. He likely also had a bunch of concubines who are also giving him sons. But evidently
The clingers just arrived.
they were being taken care of by city managers. So like they're getting training. Like
mhm,
Ahab wasn't even raising them, but there was like a contingency. Um, and so there's a discussion between Jehu and the city managers of like, are we going to have a competition to see which one is the strongest and have the sons fight each other until one is chosen, and then the city managers call the bluff? So what do you think of this, where Jehu initially points or suggests something that wouldn't make him king but would make someone else king, and then the city managers go, no, 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 tell us what you actually want? What do you make of this interaction?
mhm,
Why have a
mhm.
tournament of the fittest? If you put all the sons against each other and you give them a bunch of swords, what's likely to happen?
You get some
Yeah.
death.
Mm-hmm.
What do you call it? Intrafraticide, or let's see, what is that? Anyway,
Mm-hmm. That fratricide, killing of the brother.
yeah. Um, because they probably didn't all get along
Well,
too well.
also, the winner takes the kingdom? Are you gonna
Mhm.
leave a brother alive? What Jehu is suggesting is a fight to the death between the 70 brothers.
Yeah.
And so it's an illusion. It is a farce. He is trying to be cunning. He is trying to do it. And so instead of him having to kill 70 people, he's suggesting a fight to the death so the brothers kill each other. That's the plan. Because, I mean, the history of kings is already this way. When the king dies, brothers tend to kill each other to try to get the throne. And so he was like, okay, let's just do a tournament and put a bunch of swords in their hands. That's gonna go well. But instead, the city managers kind of see through the cunning, see like, oh, you're trying to arrange something where they kill each other. And so they just say, hey, can we cut to the chase? And the city managers do the deed them instead and bring Jehu 70 heads, which they put in 2 piles outside the city gate.
Yes.
Yeah,
what was that? Yeah. This is one of the more gory tales. So why?
Really awful.
Why put their heads outside the city gate?
Yeah. It's like a bag of apples or something.
Well, it's where everybody will see them. It's sort of like putting them in the city square or something, rather, I would think.
Yep. Yeah, so the people know the royal family's gone.
Yeah. Or that it might also suggest that they were all coming to invade them, to come into their city, but they've all been killed and they're been kept outside the city gates.
I don't get why the city managers would want to be the killers.
Anyone have a guess?
Is that like a sign of allegiance to the new order? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, what would happen if they didn't do it? They'd be dead.
They would be outside in the, okay.
Saving himself.
They'd be
in the basket.
Yeah.
Their head would be on the pile.
Well, because there is a question of allegiance. So Jehu doesn't just want to get rid of the royal family. He wants to get rid of everyone. And we see that in the next episode when a group of people come, King Ahaziah, and that group approaches and they're like, who are you? Because they don't know who these people are. And they're like, oh, we come to see the sons and the queen regent. And they are put to the death immediately on the spot. Like, you support the previous queen? Great, you're dead. And so you can see the city managers, if Jehu thought their allegiance was to the sons and they had like tried to keep one alive, the city managers may have met a similar fate. So the city managers hedged their bets and we're like, we think Jehu, you're trying to do something. We would rather just do it and be safe.
Okay. Wow.
Then another person comes, Jehonadab, and he asks him Jehu asks him a slightly different question. Is your heart as true to mine as mine to yours? So evidently these two are friends. And it's kind of like asking, hey buddy, are you mad at me? Are you on my side? And they pledge allegiance together. So it is. And so these two fight together and the zeal of the Lord is on them. And and then they just go out and kill anyone else who had allegiance to Ahab. So the slaughter continues. And then the final one is the slaughter of the worshippers of Baal. So once again, Jehu is cunning. He says he's going to go through and he's going to gather all the people who worship Baal. And he's pretending like he is going to do this great sacrifice and he's a supporter of Baal. He gathers them all together and then kills them all. He makes sure that he's like, there's no worshipers of the Israelite God, right? Like he makes it sound like, oh, those Israelite God worshipers, pooey, get them out. But it's a farce. He's just trying to save the good people. And then he kills a bunch of people who are worshiping the foreign god.
Mm-hmm.
And then they demolish the temple, they throw down the pillars, and the story continues. So the final word on Jehu is that God said, good job, except you didn't do one thing. Jehu still didn't get rid of the golden calves. There's the one that is in Bethel, and the other one is Dan. But God actually thinks Jehu's pretty good. So he gives them, like, okay, you're not perfect. You're still not going down to Jerusalem. But I will give you 4 generations of a kingdom, of a dynasty. You have a guaranteed four son dynasty. Good job. You helped clean things up. You're still a bad king, but good job.
Mm-hmm.
So we zoomed through chapter 10. We have about 7 minutes to discuss. What do you think of this regime change? Because this was very much a coup. Was this good, bad, acceptable today, acceptable in the ancient world? What do you make of this whole mess? And that it's all done in the name of God to purge the land of apostates.
Mm-hmm.
But
I
then
know how they take anything they don't, excuse me.
we go on to verse 31, and Jehu was not careful to walk in the law of the Lord, the God of Israel, with all his heart. He did not turn from the sins of Jeroboam, which he made Israel to sin. So Jehu didn't turn out to be a good guy, really.
Well, kind of. Do you all remember what the sin of Jeroboam is?
No.
The
He
sin of
didn't.
Jeroboam is making the 2 golden calves.
Oh.
So it's actually just a reference to the fact that he didn't take down the 2 places of worship.
Right.
So it's not that if he's following in the steps of Jeroboam, it's that he is not going down he's not telling people to go down to Jerusalem.
Okay.
So that's his one sin.
Okay.
So he hasn't completely done away with the worship of Baal.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite. So this is one where things are messy, and we talked about it before, where when Jeroboam did this, he likely was trying to revert back to a form of worship that was considered older. So this is still the God of Israel. It's just the God of Israel used to look much more pagan. I've been doing some interesting research and reading, and there's a few books. One of them I'm about to order called When God Had a Wife, because Asherah used to be referred to as Yahweh's wife. And so there's a version of this religion where the Israelite God was not monotheistic. And so Baal looks very similar, has some very similar symbols and things. But what Jeroboam was trying to be faithful to the Israelite God in a pagan way, if that makes sense. So Baal is gone, but the worship of the Israelite God, Yahweh, however you want to think of it, looks very pagan still.
Can you still have a golden calf?
A golden, yeah, that's a symbol that it does relate to Baal, but it also is seen in relationship to the Israelite God. So that's one of those symbols where it's kind of blurry and does reference both of them.
Oh, okay. Do we need one at Northminster?
Okay, hold on. What were you all saying? Sorry, my doorbell is ringing at me.
I made a snide comment.
Oh.
I said, do we need a golden calf at Northminster?
All right. So, yeah. So things are better but not perfect. But the other thing I will comment about this is remember that this is this part in particular is written from the southern point of view. So it makes sense that the people who have the Temple of Israel, who remember didn't get taken captive as quickly as the Northern Kingdom did. So we really only have the Southern Kingdom's record of the Northern Kingdom. So of course the Southern people were like, yeah, Jehu, he was pretty good. He got rid of the foreign gods, but like he still didn't come to us to worship. So there's a Southern religious bias that is baked into this text, where the Southerners still want the Northerners to come to Israel or to come to Jerusalem to worship, and anything less than that they see as bad. So that is a Southern bias that is just baked into our text.
You know, it certainly is a violent text, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you make of a God that seems to want people to be violent or directs them to do something that is violent? What kind of a God is that?
Of course, maybe that's the way people live then. I mean, you know,
That's pretty much the theme, isn't it?
So, yeah, this is one that we struggle with today. I mean, personally, for me, a God that needs to murder a royal family in order to assert that God's dominance in the world is a very insecure God. That's a God that's not confident in their role in the world. And there are so many war crimes that are happening in today's text. But that said, we do live in a much more domesticated world. That's what I will say. Like there's an argument that humans have domesticated ourselves. And that like when you look at how many people live to adulthood, how many people actually get sent to war, like it is horrible, and our hearts break about the people who are suffering war crimes today, who are suffering under military occupation and bombings and civilian deaths. And yet, if you look at how many people died in this era and how much violence was right, we have come so far in making the world much more peaceful than it used to be.
Yeah. And from God's standpoint, what makes you think that you have reached the end? You know, you're only getting started on this, you know. You can't expect this to be the finish.
Yeah. But the last point I will bring out, because we are at time and we do need to sign off in a minute or two, is the point that I always bring out. The difference between what God says and what we think God says.
Right.
Because what people think God says often sounds a lot like the culture they are used to. And God may have wanted regime change, but what the people heard was military coup and assassinations. We don't know what God actually said to those people at that time. We don't know how the Spirit was moving. But what I know is these people fully believed that God told them to murder the royal family.
Yeah, and then he gets, if they don't do everything, don't kill every last person, they get in trouble.
That's how they
the
understood their world. We understand our world differently.
No such thing as, well, there's a reason all this has been written down, I assume.
Yeah.
So.
Which is also sometimes things are in the Bible to show us what not to do. It can be a
Mhm.
negative example.
Mhm.
And so I think if it
Mhm.
horrifies us today, that's
Mhm.
okay. We can
Mhm.
allow the Bible to horrify us.
Yeah, good point.
So with that, let's pray.
Mhm.
God, so often when I start these prayers, I call you gracious and loving, because that's how we understand you today, is a loving God that is forgiving first and foremost. Help us not forget the other aspects of you and what we see in Scripture. We know that the people that wrote the story today saw you as an avenging God, one that called for the blood of your enemies. God, we don't want to call for the blood of our enemies today, but we do still want you to be protective of those that are vulnerable. We still want you to fight with us for the protection of the poor and the vulnerable, the homeless, those who don't know what's coming next, those who are on the edges of society. So help us fight for them. Help us fight for them in a way that makes sense today, where we don't have to turn to death in order to do so, but can lift up life and love in our path to a more just and peaceful world. So we pray all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 All right. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
True, thank you.
Thank you.